This was an excellent game, if I do say so myself. Yeah, Beastie and others say Ottomans are rubbish. I think Ottomans are quite good. Perhaps they're not the quote-unquote meta, but they can hold their own against fairly decent enemies. That's just me finding out that the base is over here. I actually completely by fluke decided to go for lumber over here. Obviously that was actually quite a good decision, it turns out. So I early went lumber over here such that I could have a nice outpost here, protecting lumber and gold. Obviously I'd have to move my stone villagers if they did raid. But that's fine. So I'm somehow slightly up on villager numbers, which is nice. Yeah, this was a good game. The enemy I thought was pretty good as well. I always, it's always a bit boring if the enemy's rubbish. So yeah, 5:40, something like that. We're starting the military school, which is nice and early. I do mess up very, very slightly, such that I probably, even when I get rid of that tree, the lumber camp's still just a little bit too close to just have two nice military schools along here, which was the original plan. But it doesn't really matter, because I just put it here and then have the barracks here. That's okay. It means that I don't have a kind of, I don't know. It's not kind of perfect, but it's fine. So I've got, as you see, wheelbarrow already. I've now started to do wheelbarrow really like as early as possible, really. Absolutely first thing, and I do think it helps. I mean, I don't have any definitive proof of that, but I feel like it might help. They were a bit kind of haphazard with their raiding. Obviously they're Holy Roman Empire, so they're okay early game, they're not kind of fantastic. But they're a bit haphazard in so far as they send some units up here and then they send some units down here, and it's a bit like, you're gonna... I think the idea perhaps from their side was that they would pincer move it. Yeah, so I was a little bit slow here, lost a villager. They just crossed into the territory when I garrisoned the villagers, so I don't think I actually did that too badly in terms of garrisoning it. Moving villagers off, these spearmen I'm forgetting to send, but that's fine. Moving villagers into the outpost there with reasonable speed. I haven't upgraded the outpost yet just because it's still slightly too early, 10 minutes 46. I need to put that springboard on it quite quickly, but not too bad dealing with that raid. I think perhaps they could have been a bit more aggressive and just ignored the fact my outpost was there and killed some villagers. Might have made sense. But there we are, that's what they decided to do. They go away, and presumably their plan is to build a battering ram. I think they do in a minute. I'm going to go a little bit further so they're out of line of sight. And then they're going to build a battering ram? I think they do. They've got enough wood. Oh, they're just content to chill there for a bit. Okay, fine. Yeah, in terms of resource income, I think I'm doing fairly well. There we are, there's their battering ram. They're going Belgrave Palace. Let's just have a quick look at their base. Yeah, they're kind of defending reasonably well. They are going on the wood that they've put the palisade walls against, which I always think is a bit... I mean, I do that a little bit, but obviously you've got to be a bit careful, because then you take your eye off it and you create a hole. Kind of go hard or go home in terms of military buildings. This is good. They're raiding again. Oh no, I'm attacking. Sorry, I'm attacking. I just see 2 units out there, quite easy to deal with, even with a small force that I've got. 15, 14 in terms of military units. They've got 1 siege, which is that battering ram, presumably. I've now got the mangonel on board. Quite sure what that means, to be honest. So we're about even now in most things. I've got a lot more gold income. So I'm in castle, so the point now really is to build up a bit of an army. They're pro-scouting, so I do notice. They're not heavily pro-scouting though, it's only kind of 1 or 2. So yeah, I'm getting farms researched early as well. I think that helped previously, because you know, farms I tend to obviously, as you kind of should, do late game, and then I normally delay researching farms, and then I kind of I think it's better to hit the ground running, as it were, with that research mostly done, if not completely done, when you're actually going to need the farms. I put an outpost there. I haven't got a palisade wall up yet. Obviously I do need to do that, and I do that. So this is what I mean about them kind of splitting their forces slightly. It allows me here to deal with this small force with my, you know, all the units I've got essentially at this point, whilst they're just building up a little force here, and it's like, well, you know, you're just allowing me to pick you off to an extent. Gold's gone, which is actually a bit of a problem. It means I have to go onto this gold mine. There are 2 nice gold mines next to each other here. I could try onto that, but obviously it makes a little bit more sense. I was hoping there'd be one down here somewhere, but I was unlucky in that regard. So I do kind of risk it a bit. I decided to just initiate that fight, because why not? That scout should be obviously out of the way. Shouldn't have had the scout in the group there. But yeah, I think one of the early problems they do is they split their forces. Yes, it would have been okay for a pincer move, but you need to be a little bit later in the game for a pincer move with more forces, and actually do the pincer move rather than do it one at a time. I back off because I don't normally attack this early, and B, I think that's kind of enough for a little bit, and I do want to just have that income to build up a decent army. I'm a little bit kind of concerned that eventually, by the time I got to their base, they'll be able to kind of pick me off, as it were, with these crossbowmen. These crossbowmen are good. They're particularly good against my Janissaries. So there we go. Decided to, as I say, do a bit of a kind of... I don't go for the full push, which actually, kind of retrospectively, looking back, I probably could have done. This is sensible. If they'd have managed to find these villagers, this was just me being super risky. Should have put at least an outpost there, to be completely honest. I could have done, it wouldn't have cost much. So yeah, that was a massive risk, I admit. But what's life without a bit of risk? But we've got doing quite well statistically. I do eventually upgrade this outpost because I know that... Well, I haven't put the palisade wall up yet, so I do leave that a bit too late, to be honest. I should have put the palisade wall up. If I was attacking this position, this would be an obvious route. Also, you'd have 2 spearmen just dangling around there. They very much see these villagers. Ah, and then they do attack them. They do, I think, attack them, if I remember correctly. Should have taken this. I didn't see that prelate coming through there, to be completely honest. Missed that. Would have been nice. Would have been a nice, easy, soft target to take out. I mean, to be honest, these games very rarely, I would suggest. I don't know. You know, the plan I think presumably was to just whack the relic in the monastery, but realistically, these games, in my view, rarely last long enough for that to make much of a difference. Especially if you're collecting the relic about 18 minutes in. 18 minutes in is where you're starting to see... I've won a game even with Ottomans and kind of heading into Imperial. In fact, I've won numerous games at about 18-19 minutes in. So if you're only just getting the relic in, that's almost pointless. They've now got a nice little force, actually. I guess one of the differences is, though, that I'm doing a decent amount of... Well, I say that. I thought I was doing a decent amount of upgrading. So in terms of military units, according to this, I'm slightly ahead, but by it's very much marginal. Which is which is interesting because I did win both those engagements, but they've managed to, despite that, create a decent force. I now move. They don't attack. I was incorrect about that. They don't attack that gold vein. I now move on to. So I need food to get into that next stage. So I now move on to this berry bush just to kind of give me that boost. Now my army is looking reasonable. I mean, there is a very legit argument to suggest that maybe I should have got some priests such that I would be able to heal these units and it'll be a stronger force. Considerably stronger. Maybe I should have done that. Speed up for a second. So we're now 2020. Food's looking good. And now I'm looking for the push. So here we go. I don't see this, so this is all black actually to contextualise what's happening here. I don't see this army at all, I just see, oh, there's some units there. I realise that they have built up a force just on my doorstep, and then obviously go for it. But that does mean that my units are not set up kind of particularly nicely in a line, such that my Janissary is a bit vulnerable here, and also I'm a bit slow to try and take this guy out. There we are, bang. Oh, come on, Janissaries. It took a lot of shots to do that. The Janissaries, do, and this was important, this little kind of almost vanguard prong into the mangonels, this was incredibly important. The Janissaries are proving their worth here. The enemy haven't got enough crossbowmen, I would suggest. If they had enough crossbowmen, they could counter the Janissaries quite easily. They're also allowing me to use pikemen against the cavalry, which is really nice. So that, again, that encounter has been quite a good one for me. And obviously I now have enough resources for Seagate Castle. So what do? I move all the villagers onto this gold. This is an unforeseen kind of part of the equation. So that perhaps what I would have done is tried to take the villagers, but what they do quite sensibly is go after the mangonels. And I kind of almost get in my way there, which is annoying. Yeah, I'm always getting my way there. But this is nice, right? Look at that. Mangonel, pretty much no damage from a direct charge of cavalry, giving me the option to take out these lonely crossbowmen. Yeah, now they're in full-blown retreat. What are they going to do? They've got a mangonel on, which is obviously priority for me to take out. I'm now running over their dead soldiers with 43 villagers and a couple of janissaries. At the same time, tackling that mangonel. And I'm also slightly too far away with these janissaries for the mangonel to... Or the mangonel doesn't anyway. I don't know exactly if it's too far over, but the mangonel doesn't do a good shot on the janissaries, which it could have done. 3 villagers to attack, why not? And now it's a case of I have to do something pretty mental to lose. So what's the plan? The plan is very aggressive Seagate Castle, and then if they're going to try and build a castle, that's going to make my job easier because I'm just going to kind of kill the villagers with a firing squad and a couple of big kind of pikes, swords. So thank you for that. That was makes my job nice and easy. Chuck a few stones on them as well for good measure. They got a mangonel coming through there, but it's going to be too late. Actually, I don't think they get a shot off on me with that mangonel. No. And it's done. Don't even allow me to get the Seagate Castle up. They also start, putting expletives into the chat, which kind of ends it appropriately. So they've actually got 5 all the relics on the map. And it's Holy Roman Empire, so over time that would have definitely paid dividends, but it's kind of about making sure that they don't, the game doesn't take long enough for that to pay dividends. So it's a good game.